we at the Black is Back Coalition maintain that black mass incarceration and gentrification are the two biggest challenges that face black America. Mass black incarceration is one of the two biggest challenges because it is a frontal assault. It is the most naked manifestation of the war against black people because it undermines and subverts every arena of black life. Nothing so evilly permeates our lives like mass black incarceration. Gentrification is the other twin evil because it is rapidly, and I mean very, very rapidly, eroding our people's ability to defend ourselves through concentration of numbers, through the powers of mass black folks. We are being scattered and dispersed, and the window for that kind of activity is rapidly closing. In New York City, it's become crystal clear that mass black incarceration is a weapon in the ethnic cleansing of blacks for the purpose of gentrification of New York City. Hyper-surveillance is the foundation stone of mass incarceration. It's the intake valve for the criminal injustice system. If you're seeking to criminalize people, you will first put them under the most intense surveillance. And if you do that, you will either find the crime that you're looking for, or you will find a way to invent the crimes that you're looking for. And you do that through hyper-surveillance. Racially selective stop and frisk is nothing but the most aggressive form of hyper-surveillance. It is up close and patting you down, but it is essentially hyper-surveillance. And you all, of course, know the numbers. 600,000 stopped last year. The numbers keep on increasing. It's no coincidence that the most intense stop and frisk police behavior is in neighborhoods that are targeted for gentrification. Mayor Bloomberg sees stop and frisk as yet another way to create the most hostile environment possible for black people in New York City, and thus to get rid of us. And that's on top of the economic factors. On top of those economic factors, what parent does not consider moving away from this city when their children are placed literally in the jaws of the criminal justice system every time that they leave their home? The NYPD have created what I call a huge vacuum cleaner to suck black youth off of the streets and directly into the American prison gulag. So, is it any wonder that 17% of the black folks that moved south in the past decade came from New York? In New York City, economic gentrification has combined with relentless stop and frisk to ravage the quality of life of the black population, and especially the quality of life for black youth. It is not only steadily eroding our numbers, it is neutralizing our youth as political actors in society. And we all know, no youth, no rebel. I'm aware that Brother Carl Dix and others are preparing for a campaign of resistance to stop and frisk. Stop and frisk being the intake valve for mass black incarceration. And I know that one component of that campaign will be to involve organized documentation of police behavior while they're in the process of stopping and frisking and otherwise accosting people on the street. And I think that that's very exciting and very important. And I think it points the way to a very practical way to both educate and mobilize an opposition to stop and frisk. And stop and frisk is also opposition to mass black incarceration. They are the same thing. We should actively and massively engage in surveillance of those who surveil us. I think we ought to remember that in the early days of the Black Panther Party, one of the strategies was to act as community police watches. And the brothers would get in led to confrontation, and we know the rest of the story. And I think that that is a good idea in its general sense today. In fact, I believe that the political potential of surveilling the surveillors as they commit their crimes is much greater today than it was back in the day, 45 years ago. Just as the police today have vastly greater means of surveillance than they used to, so too do the people have far more access to the means of surveillance than back in the 1960s. Many, if not most people, carry around phones that take still and video pictures. That's how almost everybody rolls these days, and especially young people. We all know that police are increasingly arresting and attacking people for recording their crimes with cell phones. And we all know that the police are capable, the police and their friends in high places are capable of passing laws against recording their actions, or of interpreting the laws as they are now on the books to make recording their actions unlawful. But I don't believe that in today's society that those kinds of laws or practices are ultimately enforceable in the face of conscious, methodical, political campaigns to use those cell phones in organized and righteous fashion. This technology is now like an extension of people's hands, especially the hands of young people. They feel that it is their inalienable right to record everything that goes on around them. And of course, it is their right, and we should encourage them to exercise that right. I don't think that this kind of, that suppression of those rights will go down in today's society very well. Let the police go ahead and try to suppress the right to use an everyday appliance in the fashion that it was designed to be used. I don't think that the police can win this kind of battle ultimately in the court of public opinion. And if suppression of the use of these everyday devices becomes the point of confrontation with the police, well, so be it. I think that's a good ground, a good moral and popular ground from which to fight. It goes without saying that in any such campaign, which we would have to have designated, well-known outlets where these cell phone and other kinds of pictures and videos would be shown and posted. That practice must be popularized and politicized. It's not a one-shot thing. We're talking about getting into the way that people actually operate in their daily lives with these very important devices. At that point, once we have done that, I'm sure that good revolutionaries and righteous reformers can then take it to a higher level, as we used to say. But remember, Huey Newton got shot for surveilling the police. We have much greater means at our fingertips to confront and surveil the police as they go about their behavior. And I think we can set it off. Power to the people.